Hey guys, it's Miki ASMR here, and today I'm going to be reading a long-awaited part 3 to the Losing, Loving, and Choosing You series. This, if you didn't know, is a sequel to 10 Stages of Mean You, and if you haven't listened to that before this, make sure you go do that because this is the sequel, meaning you need to watch the first one. This is part 3, as I already said, and for this chapter, it's beginning the new section of the story, which is Loving You, and meaning this first chapter part is going to be quotes that are going to be in the future chapters, so that's kind of why it's kind of random. So hopefully that doesn't sound weird. I don't know how to explain it. If you look at the book format, it will make much more sense than me explaining it to you. Anyways, this intro is kind of long for no reason, so without further ado, let's get right on into the video. MVP. It was the fifth set, with the score being 20-19, with Karasuno in the lead. The boys were obviously worn out already, with sheer willpower being the only thing that was helping them being pushed forward. 1 point. That's all they needed to go to nationals, to win this fight. 1 point was hard enough to get, but it was possible nevertheless. YN couldn't do anything but watch and hope that this was their final serve for the game. Their current rotation wasn't the best for receiving, so they had to put their all in there. With the whistle blown, the ball went in the air, and the game continued. Hwaeun watched the blank-haired manager watched the game with sharp eyes while gripping onto the bars, or the handlebars, of the bench. Once Shoyo had done his serve, he went in his position, only to be pulled and switched into another position by Tobio. The ball was on the other side of the court, about to be set. This was it. Hwaeun smiled when she saw her boyfriend touch the ball, causing its momentum to weaken. She looked at Kei with adoring eyes and a proud smile as he shouted, "One touch!" The girl couldn't help but smile wider when she realized that Kei had successfully opened the path to their victory with just a mere touch to the moving ball. The stage was set. All that was left to do was connect. "Chance ball!" Keishin shouted out. "Go Karasuno!" Hwaeun said with the loudest yell that she could. Ryunosuke, I don't know how to pronounce his name that well, sorry, received the ball well, pushing it towards Tobio. Then, as their attack, the boys once again did their synchronized running attack towards the front, an attack that has continuously given them a chance to pass through Shiratorizawa. "Go!" Kei shouted to Shoyo, who was in midair. Bam. The attack had gotten past the block, but it was received by Wakatoshi with his left hand, keeping the ball alive. Shoyo's eyes widened, surprised with the outcome. "Shirabu. Right." The ball was set to Wakatoshi, which was immediately responded by Kei. "A straight," the blonde said. With those few words, Ryunosuke, Asahi, and Kei went to block the attack, narrowing the direction once again. Shoyo, who was in position to receive the ball, headed towards the ball once again. A dangerous play, but still, it kept the ball alive. "Hinata," Hitoga said with concern. "Don't worry, he's got this," Hwaeun said. Ryunosuke saved the ball, getting the second touch from the team. The second year called out to Tobio before asking Shoyo whether or not he was okay. The black-haired setter angled the ball towards the other team, giving them a chance ball. The setter once again aimed the ball towards Wakatoshi, who had a strong aura emitting around him that said to give him the ball. With him spiking, the three people in front once again made a wall for the block. But this time, even the path for a straight was closed off. Wakatoshi, with quick thinking, immediately directed it to a cross spike. Although it wasn't expected, the ball still successfully was received by Tobio, who was in the right position where the ball went. Both Kei and Shoyo suddenly felt a crushing weight of pressure that the ace, Wakatoshi, was giving them. They, however, weren't alone. With the team on their back, the rally continued until the chance ball was set. "Chance ball," Ryunosuke said. Once again, the team went in for a synchronized attack. Tobio setting the ball to them, but with the speed in all the players, it wasn't clear who the ball was going to. But YN had a strong guess: Shoyo. Like in slow motion, everything fell into place. The group of crows faced head-on to the giant eagle that was in front of them. Within seconds, Shoyo was able to deliver the spike that the other team failed to receive. The ball bounced a bit and then fell. It was over. 21-19, Krasno in the lead. Krasno won. Time skip. There's no way you were lame. Are you stupid? Tadashi said to the blonde, who was upset how he had only blocked one of Akatoshi's spikes. Quickly, Kei raised his hand, looking at the freckled boy who had just called him out. Stupid. This isn't time to be down. We're going to nationals. But before that, the award ceremony, the green-haired boy said before closing the washroom. Thank you, Tadakun, Wayan said while leaning against the wall. It was nothing, Nickname-chan. Even if you hadn't asked me to, I still would have done that. The boy then smiled at the girl who had returned it. I'll be going now. Okay, I'll just wait for Kei here. And with that, Tadashi was out of sight. It didn't take very long for the blonde to also step out of the washroom that he was in. Hey, Beanstalk, you should have told me to bring you a towel if you wanted to take a shower, Wayan said, walking towards him. Seeing how much of a mom you are, I expected you to bring one, Kei said, smirking at her. The girl gave him a for real look before she shifted her eyes towards his injured hand. She softly grabbed it by the wrist with her right hand laid on top of it, or with her right hand and laid it on top of her left. The blonde winced a little, the pain obviously still there. Wayan then hovered her right hand over his and made a gesture with her fingers as if she was casting a spell on it. Oh, magic beans from the witch's garden, heal this beanstalk's hands, she said before looking at Kei and smirking at him. Dork, he said, in which the girl only responded with a smile. You know, Kei, you did good in this game. You did your best. But still, it wasn't good enough. I only blocked his spike once, Wayan. The blonde then looked to the side and clenched his teeth. Wayan let go of his injured hand softly and placed her right hand on his cheek, gently making him face her. And that helped a lot. You riled them up, Kei. All of your one-touches also helped the path to victory. You did a lot, she said. She then placed her other hand on his left cheek slightly and squished his face. Now listen to me, okay? Without you, the game would have been drastically different. Give yourself credit. You earned it. Alright, can you take your hands off of my face now? Wayan did as she was told and then smiled at him. Kei giving a small smile back, flustered with what she had said. Also, the girl said, even if they don't make you the MVP, although they should, you're still my MVP. I'm your most valuable player? Kei asked, confused. No, silly, Wayan said, pouting at him. You're still my most valuable partner. Wayan, yeah? I'm your only partner. The said girl, deadpanned at her boyfriend. Ugh, I know that. Then why? Well, Wayan said, fiddling with her fingers. Since you're my only partner, doesn't that make you more valuable? Like a limited edition K-Source boyfriend. That's cheesy, Kei said. And here I was trying to comfort you. My boyfriend is so mean, Wayan said, pouting once more. The blonde chuckled before enveloping the girl in a hug and saying, Thank you. Wayan said, hugging him back. I'm really proud of you, Kei. You didn't know how much I wanted to scream, that's my boyfriend, whenever you did something amazing, which is often, by the way. Then why didn't you? Well, because I didn't want you to be embarrassed of me. Silly Beansprout, Kei said. Wayan then looked up from her boyfriend and saw him looking back. Why would I ever be embarrassed to have the best girlfriend? I do love you. Liking someone is something. Loving someone was a whole nother thing. Slowly, without realizing it, you'd cross the small bridge that separates the two, then suddenly, you're in love. Kei had gone past all the glamour and light feelings that came along with liking someone. He now found himself completely enamored by the complexity Wayan held that built her the way she was. Within the past 5 months that they had been together, Kei had found himself liking the girl stronger every day. Then he started falling completely. Before, he would have been scared of that. Liking someone was hard enough as it is. Loving someone was really something else. It was a path full of happiness mixed with some pain. A path that Kei wouldn't have risked to take before, but she gave him the courage to. Life was unpredictable, and she could slip away from him before he knew it. But for now, he didn't care about what pain the future might hold. All he cared about was that she was beside him at this moment. The pain that Kei had once feared became nothing compared to everything Wan made him feel and realize. She had helped him discover a new side to him without losing his existing self. Despite the vulnerability he was able to show her, he was still him. He was still this blunt, smart guy that wouldn't take shit from other people. The blonde knew he wasn't the best person, but she made him want to be better, for her and for himself as well. Time skip. Alright, can we go now? Alright, we can go now, Wyan said after locking up the gym. Ready to go? Wait, Kei said, grabbing her hand and intertwining it with his. Now I'm ready. The girls smiled at him and lightly swung their hands together as they walked. Kei couldn't help himself from staring at her from time to time. Whenever she smiled or did anything adorable, the warmth in his heart would always multiply. I love her. These words kept passing through his brain whenever he found himself looking at her and smiling to himself. Kei had been going on for the past few weeks on whether or not he actually went from simply liking her to loving her already. It didn't really take any more convincing for him to realize that he did truly love her already. After all, what wasn't there to love about her? She was kind and caring to everyone she knew. She was also intelligent and very reliable. Despite her lack of confidence in some things, she was still able to deliver great results. That wasn't just it, though. While she was nice, she also had some sass to spare. She wasn't easily able to be pushed around, despite the trait of hers to easily give up once she believed something was something that she couldn't do. She had a lot of contrast to herself, and yet she was still able to hold it together. And that was one of the few things that Kei really admired about her. Beanstalk, I want to go to the swing, Wyan said, pointing at the park. It's getting dark, he said. The blank-haired girl looked up at him and let go of his hand, to be able to press both of her hands together. Just a little time, please. All right, Kei said, giving in. The two then walked towards the park and sat on the swing with her in the middle, and him on the swing to her right. Remember this? She asked while swinging lightly. Yeah. Of course he did. This was where he admitted that he liked her, and where she did the same. This was where it all started. It's like that time, Wyan said with a smile on her face. But we're missing someone. Who? Kei asked. The girl then gasped in shock dramatically before asking, How dare you forget French fry? French fry? Kei asked, a little confused. Wait, are you talking about the dinosaur stuffed toy I bought you? Of course, who else would it be? The girl stopped swinging and pouted at her boyfriend to tease him. She then stared at him and went into her thinking position. Hey, Beanstalk, I have a question. And this is actually a question, okay? Not a pickup line. The blonde then gave a short chuckle to his girlfriend. Go ahead. Has anyone ever told you you'd look better without glasses? That's a random question, but yeah, some people have told me that. What did you say back? She asked. Well, I told them that they'd look better if I didn't have my glasses on too. That's so stupid. I told them that they'd look better as well if I didn't have my glasses on. Wyan started laughing loudly. That really sounds like something you would say. How about you? Did anyone ever tell you you'd look better if you were taller? Low blow, Beanstalk, she said, grinning. But yeah, not much though. I've always told I was cute because of it. They're not wrong. Kei gave her a smile, to which she returned it immediately. So, why'd you suddenly ask that? Nothing really, Wyan said. I just thought about how good you would look, I just thought about how good looking you are, and then went to thinking about how other people must also find you attractive. It was a long train of thought, honestly. Why were you thinking about how I look? Well, I just thought about how lucky I am to have a handsome boyfriend, she said, grinning at the blonde. I'm hurt, he said in a teasing tone. Do you only like me because you think I look good? Idiot Beanstalk. You are an idiot, Wyan muttered under her breath. However, Kei still heard it. Of course that's not the only reason. Is that so? There's a lot of things I love about you, the girl declared, looking away from him with her hands instead. I love how you're really sweet and soft despite the way you usually act. I love how amazing you are, and you're really intelligent and really logical. But despite that, you're also a big dork. You love strawberry shortcake and dinosaurs, and that's absolutely adorable. Most of all, though, I love how happy you make me just by being there. Wyan glanced at her boyfriend, who seemed to be shocked at her sudden declaration. She then suddenly felt embarrassment coming over her. Although that they were both quite expressive about how they feel, they didn't usually say sappy things like that towards each other. Kei, on the other hand, was still caught up in her first sentence. Love? He said, repeating that one word that caught his attention. The girl's eyes suddenly widened when she realized what she had said. Due to her sudden rush of emotions, she wasn't exactly able to filter out certain words that she would end up regretting to say later. Oh no, did I say that too early, that I loved him? We've only been together for like 5 months. Was that too soon? Wyan continued to panic and tried to mutter out a sentence, only end up saying a bunch of words that made no sense. What I meant to say was, I love you too. Her breath hitched and her heart exploded. Hearing those words filled her with such extreme happiness, enough to overwhelm her and prick her eyes with tears, especially after seeing the way Kei looked at her with such soft eyes. What? She said, barely able to say out those words. What, you don't love me? He asked with a smirk. No, that's not it. It's just, I'm joking, Kei said, looking away from her. You don't have to say it back, just let me say it. The blonde then grabbed her hand and held it in his, looking at her into her eyes and said, I love you, Wyan. The girl covered her face with her free hand and muttered, You're really blunt when you want to be. It really catches me off guard, you know. Kei chuckles and continued staring at her while she looked away. Maybe I like it that way, he said. Me too, she said, looking at the blonde who didn't look away from her. Wyan squeezed his hand and held it in hers, smiling at him softly before saying, I love you too, Kei. Hearts in sync. I can't believe I've been dealing with their shit for half a year already, Kei said. It wasn't that long since the day marked their 6-month anniversary together. Like always, they didn't really give much of a thought into the day. Both of them just agreed that doing monthly celebrations for their relationship was a hard thing to keep up with, so they agreed on celebrating only on their anniversaries. Yeah, Wyan said. And you better prepare yourself because I ain't leaving you soon, so you'll be stuck with me for a long time, Beanstalk. The girl grinned as she held up a peace signs in front of his face while her other hand was on her wrist. I don't mind that, Kei said, grabbing her hand on his face and putting it down. Alright, let go. Okay, Wyan said, facing her house and said, Mom, I'm leaving. Be safe. The two of them left her house and started walking towards Kei's. The blonde only went to her house to pick her up because they had agreed on studying at his house, not that she really needed it. Wyan had actually been to his house more than he could remember. His family really loved her, apparently. She helped in cooking when they had first met her, and overall was sweet and nice to them. The Tsukishimas had adored her ever since. I'm home, Kei said, opening the door and removing his shoes, Wyan doing the same. Kei, Wayan-chan, you're here as well. Akini, the girl waved to the older Tsukishima. We're heading to my room, Kei said. Okay, I'm leaving soon anyways. Mom will be here in a few minutes, Akiteru said before going inside his own bedroom, fixing his stuff probably. Let's go, the younger Tsukishima said, walking towards his own room. It wasn't her first time going inside of his room. Whenever she'd come over, it's where the two usually ended up staying. They often watched movies and such, as she would end up falling asleep. And she would always end up falling asleep. Wayan placed her bag onto the floor and lay down on the bed. Then she felt something being thrown at her. She grabbed the hoodie that was thrown at her she grabbed the hoodie that was thrown to her stomach and wore it immediately. Warm, she said. Whenever she went into his room, she always borrowed one of Kei's black hoodies because of how soft it was inside. It was also because it had the faint smell of her boyfriend's cologne, but she didn't say that. Alright, get your shit out so we can get started, Kei said. The girl then rolled to her stomach and grabbed her bag that was on the floor by the edge of the bed. She swung her lower half of her legs back and forth as she dug her hand in her bag looking for her things. Once she was able to bring out her materials, the notebook and the pencil, she readjusted her position to make way for both her and Kei's reading materials. The blonde sat on the floor while Wayan was sitting still on the bed. How they usually were positioned whenever they tried to study, because what are tables anyways? I'm ready to conquer this test. Time skip. Kei looked at Wayan, who was staring intently at her English reading material. She was leaning her head on her hand and skimming the words with her eyes. He kept adoring how she was so into the reading, really trying to understand what it said. He was able to notice how she would bite her lip and slowly release it whenever she didn't get what she was reading. Crap, that meant he was staring at her lips. The blonde immediately went back to looking at the equations that were in front of him, trying to distract his mind from what he was previously looking at. That didn't really help much because of the frustrated groan that came from Wayan. I don't get it, she said, dropping her forehead on what she was reading. Placing your forehead on it isn't going to make your brain absorb what's on the paper. What if I eat it then? Kei shook his head lightly and grabbed her reading material, his eyes looking over what she was reading, trying to understand what she was finding so hard. What don't you understand? He asked. The grammar, it's really complicated. Okay, Kei said, and then proceeded to explain what he knew about the grammar rules for the English language. While doing so, Wayan's eyes constantly flickered towards his moving lips. Do you understand? Crap, she didn't. She was far too distracted. Yeah, she said. She would probably get it anyways after reading it a few more times. Okay, Kei said, returning to his own material. The two of them continued to do what they were doing. Wayan grabbed a piece of paper from her notebook and wrote something onto the pencil. Once she was finished, she folded it and slid it to Kei. The blonde looked up at her and grabbed the paper. Did I translate it right? She asked while Kei unfolded the paper. The boy smiled and covered his face with his hands when he finally read what was on the paper. In neat handwriting it said, Aishitaru yo equals I love you. So, is it right? Yeah, it is, Kei said. Wayan kept smiling at him, entertained with the flustered blonde. Once again, she leaned on her hand and continued to look at him. Kei glaring at her a bit and causing her to laugh. You're so adorable, Beanstalk. Shut up. The two continued to look at each other. Once again, they would get lost into each other's eyes, but that wasn't the case. Kei was indeed still looking into her eyes, but still, he occasionally glanced at her lips as well. This didn't go unnoticed by the blank-haired girl at all. If you keep looking at my lips, I'm gonna start thinking you actually want to kiss me. Kei immediately looked away and clicked his tongue. As if, the boy said, then quickly looking down at his work, avoiding her gaze. He tried so hard to distract his thoughts, but he failed so miserably, but he failed at doing so very miserably. His mind kept going to what he actually wanted, or how he actually wanted to do what she said. Sure, within their 6 months together, they've shared kisses on the cheeks and foreheads and stuff, but that was all they could usually do, considering their height difference. Once again, his attempts on distracting himself failed miserably when Wyan suddenly moved forward, overlapping with his. Before he could even look at her, he felt her hand on his cheek. Kei looked up and saw her close to him. She moved back her hand, her thumb, and her finger. She moved her hand back, her fingers, except her thumb, going past under his ears, softly leaning forward to give him a soft peck, as there was little space between their lips. Hwayan pulled back, but not too far away from his face. She also removed her hand from his face as she stared at him, who was still. The blonde blinked once more. The blonde blinked twice. Holy shit, that was dangerously close to my lips. Kei's heart pounded in his chest as he realized what had just happened. Without thinking twice, he moved his hands towards her cheek and leaned in. The both of them closed their eyes as they had felt their lips meet. Hwayan's heart started beating loudly, but she didn't care. Her hand went up to his cheek as well, slowly traveling to the back of his head, her fingers mixed up in his short blonde hair. She had felt Kei lean in a little to the left, angling his face, making the kiss deeper. The faint scent of cologne that she had caught from the hoodies that he was wearing was now stronger as she was much closer to him. She felt herself grow weak from everything but yearning for more. Her breaths were heavy once Kei had leaned back, ending the kiss. Both of their faces were red, and she could hear how he was breathing much faster than usual. It was obvious how inexperienced they were, but somehow, that also made the kiss more special. They didn't know much about kissing. They didn't even know if they were doing the right thing that would be considered kissing, but that didn't matter for now. Whether it was how they should kiss or not, she wanted to do it again. Holy shit, she said. It's hard to kiss someone when you're laying down on a flat stomach. Or you're laying down flat on your stomach. Kei chuckled before smirking at her and saying, "Well then, you should probably get in a more comfortable position." The girl gave her... Oh, sorry, that was a typo. The girl gave him a grin as she pushed away what they were doing earlier and sat on the bed. She stretched her back and arms before looking at Kei, who was sitting on the floor as well. The blonde looked at her, raising his eyebrow. The girl had chosen to sit beside him much closer than she usually does. Not that he was complaining. Hwayan's hand once again found itself on the back of Kei's cheek, her thumb grazing his lips. "It's really soft. What lip balm are you using, huh?" "Shut up," Kei said, embarrassed that she was asking that while still touching his lips. "No, you," she said, before closing the gap between them once again. Their legs were intertangled with each other as they had found themselves in a comfortable position. Kei felt Hwayan's arm slumping around his shoulders. His hands found itself onto the back of her head, her hair slipping in between his fingers as he had gently pushed her forward towards him. His other hand was gently placed on her waist, making sure that it was something that wouldn't bother her. He could feel his heart beat, and he was sure that she could too. For a moment, he was a little lost in their rhythm. When they finally pulled back, Kei leaned his forehead under hers. They stayed still. Their faces were red and their breathing was softer. Both of them still had their eyes closed, trying to stabilize their heartbeat. "I love you," Kei said, answering the note that she had given him earlier. She smiled, their foreheads still pressed together. "What did you say?" The blonde moved away and glared at her. "I know you heard that." "Yeah, but I just want to hear it again." Kei leaned his head on her shoulder. With a smile that she couldn't see, he said, "I love you." I love you too, she said. Wyan's arms wrapped around Kei, enveloping him in a hug. The blonde lifted his head from her shoulder, and she did the same, pulling her into his chest. Once again, they were visited by silence. They didn't care, though. If you could listen well enough, you could hear the faint beating of their hearts, beating at the same tune. Oh my god, that was so nice. We're finally getting to the fluff part of this, guys. The first part was the angst, and it's all finished now. Wow, that was really nice. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Literally mid-recording, when they put the Japanese there, I forgot that was a thing in the story, and I deadass looked up how to pronounce it. If I know I mispronounced it, because I don't speak Japanese at all. I don't speak a lick of Japanese, like, at all. So, I'm sorry if it wasn't pronounced, perfectly or anything. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you did, make sure you subscribe and tap the notification bell so you know about every single time I post a video. I will be trying to update both of the Tsukishima series a little bit more regularly and not waiting a whole month before posting the next part, so please bear with me, guys. I have a lot of things I want to post on here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.